We're live.
Oh, it's a Friday night.
Do you know what that means?
Well, apparently it means we're going to do a sacrifice.
Of some sort.
It's a different kind of sacrifice.
Yeah. I'm just trying to share this out as we're trying to do.
As we do.
Yeah. All right. It's been shared.
Yay.
Okay. So, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Willing Sacrifice. I'm Mike.
And I'm Liz.
And like we were alluding to, we are doing a little bit of a different kind of episode tonight. It's going to be a quick, almost like a quick hit, if you will. And this was kind of inspired by a discussion we were having, I feel like, about New York style delis and like the big sandwiches and the pickles and everything. If you've ever been to New York City and you think about like those mile high sandwiches, where I mean they've even gone beyond New York, and you go to you can go to like Las Vegas and they have like the one
New
of the
York
delis,
style.
Yeah, like one of the delis actually. I don't know if it's still there, but they had like a location there, and like I think some of the other cities have taken on that kind of mantle, or they have locations like kind of touristy areas do. So we decided to do like a dinner inspired by that whole scene.
Right. So in case you didn't know, we live in New York State. And the thing about New York State is that it's bigger than most people think. And we are probably about as far from New York City
as you could
possibly be.
Almost as you possibly could be.
But that doesn't mean we haven't gone there multiple times in our lives, our whole lives. And we've experienced these firsthand. So pardon my poor replica of a quintessential New York Jewish deli experience. So we did go with some pastrami and turkey on rye sandwiches. Obviously, I did not put a pound of meat on each sandwich. I was much more conservative.
Yeah, I feel like this was almost just kind of to pair with the other part of this, which we also have some chips that we got at the local grocery store.
Obviously, Wegmans.
Yeah, some salt and vinegar potato chips.
But what I did do is I went online and I ordered direct from Katz's Delicatessen. I got some pickles. I got some of essentially the pickles that they put out for their patrons.
Yeah.
I got some pickled, you can't really tell from the condensation, some pickled green tomatoes. And then I got some half sours, and I'll explain. And I got some full sours. So the thing about deli pickles, if you're not experienced, if all you've ever had was grocery store pickles, is that deli pickles are not usually in vinegar. They're in brine. And they get sour by fermenting in the brine. So there's no vinegar involved. So that pickle you have in the jar from the store that's got vinegar and turmeric and all these other spices in it is very different from the kosher pickles from a deli. So I figured we'd kind of showcase those along with our deli inspired sandwiches.
Right. One of the things I noticed is you've presented these is the tomatoes and the full sours.
Okay.
The brine is like almost much more murkier, if that's a word. Like it looks like it's got like a little bit more color to it. Whereas if you hold up the half sours, it looks almost clearer.
Right.
Or clearer.
And part of the reason for that is pickles, cucumber pickles, so what we would normally call a pickle, tend to come in 3 fermented levels. You've got new ones, which, I mean, they have barely been in the brine. They've been in the brine for like a week. They taste the most like cucumbers. They are still very fresh garden tasting. Half sour, is halfway through. So they are more, they actually have some fermenting on them, but they still retain a lot of their green cucumber characteristics. You can get 3/4 sour, which is again halfway between half sour and full sour. And then the full sour, I don't know the duration. We'd have to look it up. I didn't look it up on like an article or anything. But the full sour is as fermented as they get.
Yeah, you could definitely see that the color change. Maybe not necessarily in the jar, but when we show them outside the jar, you'll be able to see the difference.
But you can see the spices, you can see the garlic, you can see the mustard seeds. In this one, there was a whole bay leaf. So they're not just brine and cucumbers. There's seasoning involved. So do you want to get started?
Sure.
What do you want to start with? Want to bite of your sandwich and then have a pickle?
Sure. That sounds like a good plan.
Just to get the experience, you'll have to tell me how I did on the sandwiches. Maybe we need a little more Thousand Island dressing on them. I didn't want to go crazy with it, but I figured we will try.
It's good. Like the roast of like the turkey, and then the pastrami, and then that bread is just.
Mm-hmm. It's
really
usually
flavorful.
on like a rye bread, so we bought some rye bread. Again, it is not a dupe. It is not exact. It's just kind of a shadow of the real stuff. But these are the real thing. So I did cut them in half because they're pretty big. So these are the pickles.
The pickled tomatoes,
Mhm.
which I have never had a pickled tomato before.
I have not either, so it will be a new
So
experience.
this is
for both of
very
us.
interesting. The color is obviously, very clear-ish.
Right, and they're hard. Obviously, because they're
They
green.
smell interesting.
Cheers. Salty. Juicy.
I was going to say some napkins probably would have been a good idea.
We'll get some.
Yeah, that is very flavorful.
Yeah, there's a lot of garlic. I mean, it's very salty. Obviously, it's in brine, but they're not mushy at all. They're very
No,
crunchy.
they're very crunchy.
I can taste the garlic. I can taste something peppery.
Yeah.
I like them.
They're probably one of the more unique things, that I've. It's a tomato, but it's like a more unique kind of presentation of the tomato.
I mean, we did our pickle panel, and we ate some interesting pickles. But this is pretty interesting. I mean, you don't find these in a jar usually in the grocery store. I love the crunch. I love the texture.
And I tell you what, we bought stuff from a lot of different places.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't recall seeing a pickled tomato at any of the places that we went to.
I think they're hard, difficult to pickle in a way that they're preserved and that they don't get mushy. Because these definitely, you have to eat them within a couple weeks.
Right.
These are not, you don't get to keep these forever. You don't put them in the fridge and have them for 2 months.
Right.
I like them.
Yeah.
I think they go good with the sandwiches really well.
I'd agree. Like it kind of tempers, like when you have a bite of the sandwich afterwards, it kind of tempers that saltiness. Like it kind of Makes it recede a bit.
Yeah. I mean, and they're good on their own, and I can imagine them also being good in like cut up in things, like a pasta salad.
I could see that. Yeah.
I think that'd be really good.
Very interesting. A very interesting
Choice.
choice. Yeah.
So our next one is the half sour.
Okay.
So this is not. It still retains quite a bit of its green characteristics, but it's been in there. It's been fermenting for a little bit. It smells
smells great.
Smells very refrigerator pickly.
Yeah. But I mean, it very much looks like a cucumber.
I'm holding this over here because I imagine that they are going to be juicy.
Yeah, I don't.
Or just use your towels there. Ready?
Yeah.
Very crunchy, obviously. They still taste a lot like cucumbers.
Yeah.
A hit of garlic. Like salty cucumbers, really.
Yeah. You get a hint of like some nice seasoning, but spices. It's very, very much still like cucumber forward.
I don't say I'm disappointed.
I think that second bite was even better. Mm-hmm. I like these. These are. I just
wish they were. I think I'm gonna like the full sours better.
I could understand that
because I think these have their place. They're very refreshing.
Like you mentioned, the tomatoes being cut up into a salad. These would be phenomenal. Yeah. Like cut up.
These are less salty.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Than the tomatoes. But you're still getting a little bit of that garlic. And you're still getting a little bit of the heat. Like you can, these are a precursor. They're a foreshadowing of what they will be if you left them longer. I can see you're sitting in one of those delis and you've got a sandwich that's 4 inches thick. It's got a pound of meat on it. And you need a break from all of that meat. And you have this crunchy, refreshing vegetable side.
Yeah, that's definitely almost like I was watching a video the other night of like people having this really fancy meal, and they had like a sorbet, and then and the waiter called it halftime. But they had like a sorbet, almost like as like a refresher.
Yeah,
because like it was crisp and refreshing and very light.
A palate cleanser.
Yeah. Still packs some flavor, but it's still like refreshing.
And then when you go back to the sandwich afterwards, you get to enjoy the flavor of the sandwich all over again, because this has kind of cleared out your and not that the meat is fatty, but it's cleared out all of the meatiness.
Yeah.
Good. So you're sitting at Katz's in New York, eating your sandwich, and you have tried the tomatoes and the half sour. So far, which one is your favorite?
I'm probably going with the half sour.
Okay.
I like that. I just like that refreshing flavor.
I love the crunch on these. I think that's the other thing. Is like when you get a store-bought pickle, it's kind of a crapshoot. Is it going to be crunchy? Is it going to be rubbery? Or if you get the chips and the sandwich ones, are they just going to be limp?
I mean, I'm often thinking that a lot of them are not as firm as either of the two items that we've had so far.
Oh, no, absolutely not. These are like
almost soggy, chewy.
The ones in the grocery store.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah. The comparatively, like they're not going to have the crunch that we've experienced thus far.
And there are some brands that are the exception. Obviously, a lot of the refrigerator pickles that you can buy, I think Grillo's.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are probably a bridge, a comparable. But
About
these
as
are,
close as you're going to get.
yeah, these are probably the crunchiest pickles I have ever
Yeah.
had.
Or like our buddy Pete,
Yeah.
our local Pete, the pickler
Mhm.
guy, who Pete's Pickles.
Pete's Pickles.
If you're local to Rochester, highly recommend seeking out his stuff. Find him on Facebook. He'll tell you where he's selling his stuff. There's local grocery stores and whatnot that he sells them at. Highly recommend his stuff. That would be a comparable or getting to what we're experiencing this evening.
So just, again, because they don't really label these, they put a lid on them. I don't want to hold them over the computer, but so we had the tomatoes
Mm-hmm.
from Katz's, and then we had, make sure these are tight, the half sours from Katz's. And now we're going for the full sour. These I'm excited about because I feel like I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want to set myself up for disappointment, but I feel like
Can we do one thing now? Bring the jar back.
Sure. You're gonna do a sniff test?
Yeah, I'm just curious what. Yeah, that's got.
See, there's no vinegar, but it almost feels like it, right?
Yeah.
It's that fermentation of the pickle.
I love. I mean that they're selling these, right? But they're like overhead for this. It's got to be so low because there's no label. There's nothing. There's just these lids.
And the lid, it's just a sticker. It's not like a custom made lid. They're like, we'll just buy these jars that are going to be repurposed.
Yeah.
They're lovely. But yeah, so I'm excited about these because these are my wheelhouse. Sour, hopefully sour. Take a pickle. They're definitely the darker green, that army green.
Well, I mean, they've faded a bit though comparatively to the halves. There's like a lighter color to these, in my opinion.
They're not vibrant green like the ones.
Right. Oh, they smell amazing.
They smell so garlicky. I'm excited. Yeah. Ready?
So, yeah. Cheers. Mm. Now these have that like distinct pickle tang to them.
They're sour.
Yeah.
They're salty. They're a little less crunchy. They still got a good crunch. Garlicky.
Yeah.
They're juicier.
Yeah. So like the brine is like soaking in more. And that's why you're getting a little bit less crunch, but you're still getting like a significant amount of crunch to these. Like we were describing before, like the ones that you get at the grocery store. These are probably still exceeding that.
Oh yeah.
That level. They're delicious. These are nice.
So I'm going to go back through these again because I've kept a bite of kind of each one and have a bite of it with the sandwich in my mouth, kind of to just kind of put it together. And this is hard because I really expected to like the sours the best. But I think the half sours win on texture. But the full sours win on taste. I mean, they're both really good. I'm wondering, am I a 3/4 sour person?
You could be. You very well could be. I mean, I suppose there's one way to find out.
We'll have to buy the 3/4 sours.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go back to a tomato just to kind of revisit. So that's really, going back to it, still good. Way different flavor. The cucumber and the tomato. Obviously, cucumbers and tomatoes don't taste the same. But it doesn't have the punch of garlic that the full sours have, or even that the half sours do. It's still got a nice crunchy green tomatoey taste.
It's such a different flavor profile.
Mm-hmm. But then, like, going back to the half sour. Well, again, love the crunch. Prefer the flavor of the full sour.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to order some 3/4 sour and see if it's the best of both worlds. Is it the crunch of the half sour and the punch of garlic and mustard seed that's in the full sour?
It'd be an interesting test, I guess, or to see.
So you said you liked the half sour.
I enjoyed them.
Do you like the full sour better?
It's tough because they're so different. It's apples and oranges, I feel like.
Well, they're cucumbers and cucumbers.
Yeah, but they're so different, and there's such a gap between what they are ultimately. So I don't know that you could. I mean, they both have their merits and why they're good,
Right.
but comparing them, it's kind of not fair in a way because they're so different.
And but they're the same pickle, just one is older, one has been in the brine longer.
Right, and the effects that has makes it a whole different experience.
So there were two of the cucumber pickle varieties that I did not buy. I did not buy the new pickle, and I did not buy the 3/4 sour.
So the new pickle's got to be like even fresher than the half.
Right, which I think would kind of be meh, because the half is just salty enough, just a hint of garlic enough. I think any more than this, and it's just, I could go make it in my kitchen. I could just cut up a cucumber and put it in some salt water overnight, and it'd be a new pickle. I love that crunch, though.
Yeah. So,
what was your favorite then?
See, you keep asking me that, and I don't know that I can answer. Because both were great. I liked both the half and the full. I love the fuller flavor of the full. I even though it doesn't have that crunch, the freshness of the half is great, but I think I like the flavor all that much more of the full. Yeah.
And it's obviously, when we say it doesn't have the same crunch, it's still damn crunchy.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, this was interesting, I would say. Mm-hmm. And I think based on discussions we've had and talks we've had leading up to you ordering these, I think this is almost like a little bit of a precursor.
A little tease
to something that you've been wanting to do and you've been planning is to actually do a pickle panel part 2.
Right. So when we did our original pickle panel, we kind of just went hog wild and we bought all kinds of pickles, that whatever we could find on the shelves that wouldn't gross somebody out too much to taste. We
found some that gross people out.
Like we didn't go for any pickled fish, like no pickled like herring or anything that was going to be like you were going to open it and gag. So we tried to stay with like vegetables. I don't think we did any fruits, did we? I don't think
I
so.
don't remember.
I think we did like
Watermelon, didn't we?
watermelon rind.
Or watermelon rind, yeah.
But that was as much fruit as we got. So, and we did like a pickled sausage, we did pickled eggs, beets, deep beans. You can go back and watch it. There's a lot of pickles involved. But we kind of just anytime we went somewhere that was um not your normal, that didn't have your normal grocery store brands.
We went to, I mean, just to kind of run down it a little bit, we went to like a European grocery store or two,
Mhm.
actually. And then we also went to a Amish market, and they had a lot of stuff, and we got a lot of the items there.
A farmer's market.
And yep. And then the, like I mentioned, those couple of European stores that we went to that they had a plethora of items that
Right.
we
But
purchased.
they, I think for the most part, all had that they were pickled in vinegar in common.
Yeah.
I think the European ones were the only ones that were brine pickled, and they kind of, I think, lost out because I think they were either expired or they were in a can and they had the flavor of the can. They just were kind of disappointing.
Yeah, and I think you were looking for like a specific kind, and we didn't. We kind of ended up not
finding
succeeding.
them, but so I'm trying to kind of prepare. Well, this probably our pickle panel part 2 probably won't be until the end of spring, early summer, but I kind of want it to be more organized. I'd like to try some of the pickled fruits that are out there that are offered. Again, most of this stuff will have to be sourced online. There's some really interesting flavors that are out there. Just to tease a couple, I've seen kimchi pickles, and they're pickled cucumbers. And I have also seen, let's see, what was the other one? There's a lot of horseradish pickles. And I think one of the things I'm going for also is not to exclude vinegar pickles, but to see what people can do with the brined pickles, the traditional fermented pickle without relying on vinegar.
Sure. Maybe just to kind of do different than what we did previously.
Mm-hmm. So where other one was vinegar heavy, I think we're going to go brine heavy on this one and just go for people who've put different seasonings in. You know, you can think of all the different kind of seasoning blends that you can make. And again, I've seen some fruits, and I've heard really good things about some of those fruits, so I'm excited.
Yeah. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for some other fun adventures that we have, food-wise.
Yeah, so
we got a lot of traveling coming up, so it's gonna cause us to acquire some snacks,
some flavors.
Oh my gosh,
I'm excited of the world and kind of some of it, the world around us.
Yeah.
So again, because this is New York fare.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. A different part of New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoyed our little
our little
pickle teaser.
Yeah. Our pickle tickle.
Pickle tickle.
Yeah.
That's the name of this title. Or title of this one.
I called it a deli dinner.
The in quotes is the pickle tickle.
Yeah. Hashtag pickle tickle.
Hashtag pickle tickle. End up on some weird websites with that hashtag.
Oh gosh.
Weird searches.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's time to eat the rest of our dinner.
It is. Stay tuned. We got more Universal Yums boxes coming up too. So yeah. Lots of fun stuff coming up. And as always, this has been real.
It's been fun.
It's been real fun. See you next time.